Senate has introduced a bill that seeks to establish a federal government agency to check hate speech in the country. And the question is, what should be the penalty for corruption if death by hanging for hate speech? The bill is sponsored by a former Senate spokesperson who is now the Deputy Senate Whip, Sabi Abdullahi, passed first reading on the floor of the Red Chamber on Tuesday. Abdullahi had first introduced the bill that proposed death by hanging and other deterrent for hate speech defaulters at the 8th Senate, where he served as the Senate spokesman in March 2018. The senator said the former bill, which sought the establishment of Independent National Commission for Hate Speeches, reflects the growing concern over the spate of violence in the nation. In the space of 1 week, the Nigerian State Senate has introduced 2 bills, and for everyone out there, this concerns you and you should pay attention. First, Protection from Internet Falsehood and Manipulations Bill 2019. 2. A National Commission for the Prohibition of Hate Speeches. Meanwhile, in 2018, when the bill was introduced, lawyers and media groups have faulted the bill before the Senate, which prescribes death by hanging for the offense of hate speech. Some people have said that the bill addressed the bill as a very dangerous one. Babatunde Fashanu, SAN, while speaking with a medium, said, "I do not see it as a good idea. What is the definition of hate speech and what are the parameters to measure hate speech? The idea is very dangerous. If such bill is passed into law, it will be used against political opponents by the executive arms of government, which is to execute the law." Earlier, ex-lawmaker Shehu Sani had said that the effort to regulate social media is not primarily about checkmating fake news, hate speeches or defamation, but majorly about stifling freedom of speech and expression and the right to question power and hold it to account. Question is, what will be penalty for corruption then? Laws against hate speech are not an entirely new phenomenon. Not less than 32 countries around the world have different kinds of laws that criminalize hate speech. However, each of these countries define hate speech differently. Some make it illegal to publicly deny, play down, justify or approve of the genocide committed by the Nazi German regime during the Second World War, such as in Belgium, or prohibits discrimination and punishes anyone who, based on differences of race, religion, language, political or other belief, wealth, birth, education, social status or other properties, gender, skin color, nationality or ethnicity, violates basic human rights and freedoms recognized by the international community, such as in Croatia. But for the sake of this article, let us use the definition given by Wikipedia, a statement intended to demean and brutalize another, or the use of cruel and derogatory language on the basis of real or alleged membership in a social group. It is also speech that attacks a person or a group on the basis of protected attributes such as race, religion, ethnic origin, national origin, sex, disability, sexual orientation, or gender identity. There is no doubt that there is a lot of speech in Nigeria that attacks people on the basis on their ethnicity or religion. Sadly, not unexpected for a diverse, fractured country as ours. A lot of politicians rose to prominence by attacking an ethnic group or the other. But why then is a proposed bill to criminalize hate speech in Nigeria so controversial? First, the definition of the hate speech refers only to the stirring up of ethnic hatred, but it is totally silent on religious hatred, which is curious considering the fact that the sponsor, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, said that cases of ethnic and religious violence in the past years in Nigeria motivated him to sponsor the bill. The bill also prescribes punishment if hate speeches result in death of another person, and that person who uses, publishes, presents, produces, plays, provides, distributes and or directs the performance of any material, written and or visual, which is threatening, abusive or insulting, or involves the use of threatening, abusive or insulting words or behavior, commits an offense. If such person intends thereby to stir up ethnic hatred, or having regard to all the circumstances ethnic hatred is like to be stirred up against any person or persons from such an ethnic group in Nigeria. The challenge with this section is proving that one's death is linked to speech by another, or that someone had intended to stir up the ethnic hatred, or that ethnic hatred was likely to be stirred by based on speech. I will give an example. I have seen instances where social media posting criticizing, say, President Muhammadu Buhari or Vice President Yemi Osinbajo elicit replies from others who take broad swipes at the ethnic groups of the president or the vice president. In such situations, do we then take the author of the original posting responsible for the replies that were ethnically charged, even if there was nothing remotely intended to that in that posting? Not only that, the prescribed punishment for hate speech leading to one's death is an overkill, as it means the person who's made the hate speech is being charged with murder. Or the 32 countries with the penalties for hate speech, the most severe punishment is 5 years imprisonment in Canada for advocating genocide against any identifiable group. Then, where does one begin with the proposed National Commission for the Prohibition of Hate Speech? It really like me that the answer that many people to our problems is to create one more government agency to the already excess agencies that we have. Such a commission will not enforce hate speech law beyond looking for scapegoats to create the impression of effectiveness. It will only be a drain on the public purse. Hate speech and what constitutes it is in itself very debatable, and it is interpreted in many places as an attack of free speech. In the United States, for example, courts have repeatedly ruled that laws criminalizing hate speech violate the guarantee to freedom of speech in the American Constitution. In a country as Nigeria, such a law will easily be used to muzzle citizens and to suppress criticisms of the government, as even the reactions to speech by a critic be used to have hate speech charges expressed against the speaker, even if it is not his or her intent. The best way to deal with the hate speech is for as many people as possible to disassociate with the expresser of such divisive statements and to ostracize them. For example, when a body calling itself the Northern Youth Coalition issued a quit notice to all Igbo people living in the north, hardly did any northern political leader criticize them, as they preferred to keep silent. The chairman Northern Elder Forum, Professor Ango Abdullahi, bravely went as far as backing them up publicly. This is not unique to the North either. The fastest ways to achieve regional, ethnic, or religious relevance in Nigeria is demonizing the other side. It has become routine to see ethnic and religious leaders constantly in their tribes against other ethnicities and religions, and with no consequences from their people. Until such previous of divisive speech are ostracized and relegated to the fingers of the society, where there is backlash for what they say, hate speech will continue to be common. Sadly, hate speech law and definitely a government agency to regulate the law is not the solution. What it instead does is compound the problem. So guys, that is everything about hate speech and what is being proposed in the National Assembly. They say hate speech and death penalty. And the question is, what should be the penalty for corruption if death by hanging for hate speech? That is the question. And someone who is really proposing this bill, Abdullahi, that's his name. You can imagine when just the example being given, when their people are calling for calling for quit notice of some other region, they didn't say anything. They all kept mute. And people have said it is government that is always bringing this thing. You couldn't remember, insult is one of the things they are charging Shiwore for. They are charging him against that. They are charging him for insulting the president. So we all know where it came from. Even the president has said it, even when he went to UN program in United States, in New York, he said that if all the leaders can come together, because it is hate speech that is destroying the whole world. Everybody knew quite alright that by the time this man comes in, the only thing is just to tell the to tell the Senate, and before you know it, they want to make it law. And exactly what people predicted, and that's what is happening. But let us see how people are going to receive all of these things, because a lot of people have come out to disagree with this bill and with Senate. So, guys, I would like to hear from you what you think about this whole thing. And the question is that if a death penalty is for is for people uh who commit hate speech, then what will now be the penalty for corrupt leaders? They will never say that. They will never say that. Someone say, what is the penalty for corruption? Stealing, taking contracts, and not executing it. Please let us accept the punishment for the hate speech, but also pressure Senate to pass death sentence for all forms of corruption, along with making it easy for people to pursue cases of corruption rather than leave it to prosecuting agencies. If we are going to say that, definitely no, this one, people must come and rally around and not even to agree to that, because if you are waiting for them to pay a death penalty for themselves or for corrupt people, they will never do that. Even if they do it, you know how they do it, they will sweep everything under the carpet. So, guys, I would like to hear from you that if what should be the penalty for corruption if death by hanging for hate speech? Please leave your comments below and let's hear your own take. Thank you. Bye.